Ubisoft is losing millions. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of green, a lot of guapo, if you will. I don't. Ubisoft generational fall off. Ubisoft used to make pretty good games. All right, some of the best like Friend Slop. All right, and the fall off has been absolutely legendary. Like I don't know how they could have. I don't know how the Frenchies managed to fuck this up. Let's get into it, baby.
Ubisoft laid off over 1,200 employees, canceled or delayed.
It's a lot of Frenchies losing jobs.
And now we are seeing their company absolutely tanking. Their shares fell.
It's time to surrender for the 10,000th time, Frenchies.
They have announced a record 1.3 billion euro.
Oh, billion. That's billion with a B. That's a little bit more than a million. Wow.
But before I get into the topic, if you
GG's. Put the fries in the bag.
Join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I had previously done a video on the over 1,200 employees that have been laid off, but since
that is a lot of employees.
Quite a bit more information, and things are looking pretty brutal for them. Again, their shares have tanked. The maker of Assassin's Creed, as this article says, has now warned of further losses, and they are expecting further losses. And I can't say I'm particularly surprised. I've been covering Ubisoft pretty heavily over the past year to year and a half, and of course,
they've been dropping dog shit after dog shit.
They are truly in a disastrous state, and they are the worst off company in the industry that I have been following really closely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's no way there's no way anybody else is doing worse than Ubisoft right now. Like maybe Sony, but I mean Sony. I think Sony will be all right, even with all the dog shit that they've been funding. Blizzard, probably fine. You know, Bungie, but I think nobody has it worse than Ubisoft right now. It is so bad for Ubisoft, man.
Sure, people are excited for the Black Flag remake. I don't think that is going to save them. I don't think that one single game could change the...
Think about this, chat. After all of the flops, all of the money that they've put into these flops, after, you know, all the layoffs, how many copies do you guys think the Black Flag remake would have to sell in order to save Ubisoft? That number has to be unachievable. There's no way that this game alone will save Ubisoft. There's no way. They would have to... The rest of 2026 would have to be nothing but bangers from Ubisoft. And even then, I think maybe they would still have to drop a whole lot of bangers in 27 to save this company. There's just no way. I don't see a future where Black Flag alone keeps Ubisoft alive.
Tied for them. I think that their upcoming games are in dev hell, like the Splinter Cell remake, Far Cry is in trouble, and now they have announced a record 1.3 billion euro.
Good Lord. By the way, Far Cry 6 sucked. Far Cry 6 was so bad. Far Cry 6 looked like it was going to be good and interesting, but I honestly thought it was terrible. It was so boring. A lot of the missions were just super repetitive. Just a bunch of, like, fetch quests. Like, go destroy this. Go collect this. Do this, you little dipshit. It got so boring. That the game is just way too fucking long. I think it could have worked if they made it significantly shorter.
Operating long.
Because I think the villain and the story is actually pretty cool and interesting. But the game is just so boring. It just drags on with the same type of shit that you keep doing over and over. Go destroy this. Go liberate these assholes over here. Go steal this shit. God.
For its fiscal year ending March 2026. It says net bookings dropped 17.4% to
Damn.
1.53 billion euro, impacted by underwhelming game launches and development delays. In response, the
Underwhelming.
company implemented cost-cutting
Bit of an
measures,
understatement, don't you
including the
think?
reduction of about 1,200 jobs and 118 million euros in fixed costs. Ubisoft predicts an 8 to 9% decline in sales and a high single-digit loss margin for the 26 to 27 fiscal year, but anticipates returning to profit and generating positive cash flow by 2027 to 2028. So it could still be multiple years before they claim they're going to turn things around. Now, Tencent and
Yeah.
Ubisoft now have this joint venture, Vantage Studios, this creative house. They might be able to start making decent games again because it's new leadership. They're being watched much closer. But the problem with that is that
I don't know. Maybe Tencent does like making money, so maybe, but I don't know.
there's new leadership and there's
I
major
don't know,
team
man.
shakeups and people are getting laid off, it could mean that some of the games they've been working on could be restarted. They might scrap what they had in certain instances and completely restart. We don't know exactly how that is going to work, and we might still see several flop launches because we know development
Yep.
cycles for games are extremely long. Look at Dragon Age of Valgard. That took a decade
A
to make that
decade.
garbage. There are games
Oh.
now that are
Imagine working on a game for a decade and it just absolutely flops because it's so fucking dog shit. Absolutely insane, bro. Holy.
releasing that take 5 to 6 to 7 years to release on
Yeah,
average
6,
for
7.
the large AAA projects. And so some of these games might have to be pushed out. The lower quality games might be pushed out. And then the better games might not release for another half a decade plus. So,
Yep.
taking to this CNBC article, it says Ubisoft shares fell sharply before regaining some ground on Thursday after the Assassin's Creed maker warned it expects further losses this year. When
Well,
you are
that's
already
not very
doing this
reassuring, is it?
abysmally, and then people hear that you expect things to get worse, yeah.
Wow. Really?
What did you expect to happen? The
Yeah, Ubisoft is cooked, man. Oh, I would be surprised if Ubisoft manages to stay alive by the time 2030 hits.
game maker posted an operating loss of 1.3 billion euros or $1.5 billion in its 26 financial year. Net bookings came in at 1.5 billion euros and a drop of 17.4% from the previous year. Its shares closed 2.2% lower on Thursday after clocking losses of almost 20% earlier in the session. Now, the big problem here, as I've reported many times, Ubisoft has lost nearly 95% of its value in the last 8 years. And in January, they saw a 34% share price drop due to its quote unquote major reset. And so any sort of significant share fall now looks like the end of the company. And Ubisoft still does bring in quite a lot of money, but they also are losing quite a lot of money. And so the pros are not really outweighing the cons anymore, and there's only so much of this that they can take. They still have
They can only piggyback off of
16,000
Rainbow Six for so long,
they are
chat.
going to have that many by the end of the year. If they expect things to get worse, that means that we're going to see it.
Y'all remember Hyperscape? What happened to that game? That shit died off like hella quickly. Do people even still play that fucking game?
Another 1,200 laid off, maybe even more than that, maybe even 2,000 laid off in 2026. And so that could be
Skull and Bones is another one.
3,500 employees laid off over the span of 2 years, and they're going to continue to have to do that if they're not making money. It says the stock has fallen around 26%
Good
in
Lord.
the year to date. The move comes after years of stock price declines for the game developer following the COVID-19 pandemic, delays to major releases, and financial struggles. The problem with this argument is that it's not just COVID. They have been in this disastrous situation for even longer than COVID was happening. So it's like, okay, they were facing that issue before. I mean, sure, if we go back a decade plus, they were doing way, way better. Consumer confidence was high. They were on a pretty consistent and quick release schedule, but it's just not that way
Yeah.
anymore. And so, heading back
They
to X,
fell
people
off
are
like
responding the same way
crazy.
I did. It sucks to suck. Yeah, I feel bad that people are losing their jobs. If you are bad at your job, you don't deserve to have that job. But
Yeah, yeah.
anybody who's been paying attention to Ubisoft knows that they are in this really disastrous situation and that it's going to take some pretty drastic
Yep.
changes for them to turn things around. There are some people that say, I believe the Black Flag remake will turn this if there are no troubles on release. I completely disagree. I do not think
Yeah.
that one single
And the thing with the Black Flag remake, Ubisoft has to not fuck it up. And a lot of people just don't have faith that they will not fuck it up. I think they'll maybe sell a good amount of copies of Black Flag, but to be honest, number one, even if the game was a smashing success and they made a profit off of it, I highly doubt it's going to be enough to save the company. They're going to have to release several Black Flag successes if that was the case. But I don't think Black Flag will be the big savior of Ubisoft, right? I just don't really see that happening, to be honest.
game could make things good for them and positive for them and all rainbows and sunshine for
It can go to it could either help them to get on the right track to saving their company, or it can become another addition to the list of flops that Ubisoft has released. And if that happens, then yeah, there's no hope for Ubisoft.
them. I think that it would take like 10 absolutely behemoth releases for them to go, we feel confident in our future again. I remember them crying tears of joy. We finally found our black man for this stupid Japanese history game. Oh, praise the heavens. After a decade of searching, we found him. Give him his own rap theme as they fell into each other's arms. This company can burn. Hey, Ubisoft, get rid of all your DEI activists and hire actual good devs to make great games. Assassin's Creed Shadows.
What happened, man? Ubisoft used to make absolute cinema, right? Far Cry 2, Far Cry 3, even Far Cry 5, what we just recently finished playing, by the way. It was pretty fun. It's a fun game to like play co-op. You know, Call of Juarez Bound in Blood. That game was the story. I love that game so much. It is hands down one of my favorites in the Call of Juarez. I know a lot of people like Gunslinger. Gunslinger's good, but in my opinion, Bound in Blood is the best one out of all of them. Cartel sucks ass though. You can skip that one.
Welcome home. This image is just so funny to me. Yosuke, go woke, go broke. Maybe, just maybe, if the next Assassin's Creed protagonist is a fat trans black Muslim woman, Ubisoft can turn the ship around. And we've heard that she's going to be on this like revenge war path, and she's going to be stunning and brave in this time when men are pushing women down and men are treating
Yep.
women like trash. I don't know how that's going to make them money because, yeah, there are plenty of Assassin's Creed fans that wouldn't mind playing as a woman, but they also want the choice to play as a man. And we've heard, according to rumors and reports, that Ezio is going to be a part of this and he's going to, in a way, be like a mentor to her, which could be okay, but it's like, why not just make another Ezio game? That's what the people want, and that's how you could make a boatload of cash very quickly. They get what they deserve, and then laughing.
Yep.
In
Nobody feels
hindsight,
bad
maybe
about
Ubisoft
what's
should have
happening
just
to
made a
Ubisoft.
normal male Japanese main character who hails from Japan for Assassin's Creed Shadows instead of inserting a dubious historical figure and making him gay. And look at what happened with, let's say for argument's sake, Ghost of Tsushima. That game did phenomenally. People love that game. People love Jinsekai. Why didn't you literally just try to copy and paste that? Why didn't you try to emulate that success and try to make a game that was similar to that? It's like they said, no, no, no.
Yeah.
We need to do better. And
You would
better,
think that they
to make the
want
biggest
to
pile
make
of
money,
slop
but
possible.
time
I
and time
love this
again, you
image. It's
see
one of my
companies
favorites
make
I've
the
ever seen on
stupidest
the
decisions
internet.
ever.
Ubisoft, did we at least own the Chuds? And then he dies.
The
They
Chuds!
just have to get rid of the woke slop they've been pumping out. And sure, I think in theory, any company could come back and they could do better things and make their customers happy, but are they going to do that? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they can do no wrong, and eventually people are just going to shut up and consume content, but that hasn't happened yet, and I really don't know how that's going to happen at all. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel.
I will!
If you didn't, give it a dislike.
I would never.
Appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.
Thank you, Vera. I enjoyed that a lot. There you have it, boys. That is the situation right now going on with the Ubisofts. Like I said, Chad, I don't think that I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I think Ubisoft is 100% cooked. They would have to drop banger after banger for the next 2 years to even hope to save the company, and with their current track record, yeah, I don't see that happening. 100% I don't see that happening.